Well, hi, it's Bob Doyle. I was one of the featured teachers in the film and book, The Secret, and now I facilitate the Evolve Your Excellence program, which is a brain rewiring program. Basic premise is your whole interpretation of your reality is an inside job. It's your brain. So we work on any wiring that is causing you to interpret your experience as anything less than awesome. And so a lot of the work I do is around quality of life, because we all have goals, right? You've got a goal, I can tell. So maybe it's money, maybe it's career, maybe it's relationship, or a blend of all of them, right? But, we're going for the goal for what, ultimately? We're going to hopefully have a quality of life, that we enjoy it. So, and that looks different for everybody. Some people, their vision and who they need to be in the world, it requires great abundance by the normal standards, the big cars and all that stuff. For them to have a quality of life, a life that they love, whereas others do not need those things to have a quality of life. So it's totally not about the external manifestations or the stuff you have or any of that stuff, except to the extent that it creates your own quality of life. But that stuff is not what's ultimately creating the quality, is it? So what's creating the quality of life? It is your brain. You're making meaning of all of this, and you're saying, I like it. This is quality of life. Or you're going, this isn't. No, I said blue, right? Not quality of life. But the situation and the circumstances, I think we could use a common example. We hear all the time about people who live in countries, third world countries, etc., impoverished by just about any standard. And yet their happiness level is way beyond anything most people in the richest countries have. That is because their brains have been wired to interpret things differently than us. They have a whole different set of standards. And so really, when you think about it, who wins here? Right? The people who do not have all the stuff that we have, but they have a quality of life. They celebrate every day. Whereas we have all the stuff, and yet we're just complaining about it's not enough stuff, it's not the right stuff, it took too long to get the stuff, I can't pay for the stuff. Right? Because ultimately it's an inside job. So if we bring wiring into our experience that basically says we are dissatisfied with what is, if we don't take care of that core wiring, then whatever it is we get, whatever it is we accomplish, our wiring is going to figure out a way to say, no, this isn't it. This isn't enough. Because that's how we have been trained, or we've trained ourselves, or whatever, to interpret things in general. So we have this constant conversation. And one of the conversations is, oh, when I get that stuff, I'm going to be so happy, then I'll have all of that. But I'm telling you, and other people who have gone down this path can tell you, that the stuff itself is not what is going to bring you the happiness. It is how you interpret the getting, the receiving of the stuff, what the meaning you make out of it. And even though right now you think, oh, well, I get the stuff, there's only good interpretation, you don't know that until you get there. You really don't. So it's really about finding a way to, ultimately the goal here is that under any circumstances, no matter what life throws at you, wouldn't it be great if you could spin it to say, this is awesome, or at least not, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. Now, I'm not suggesting that any of us are going to suddenly be thrown into situations like suddenly we're thrust into a world of poverty, we don't know how to function, and that we should just figure out how to be happy. No, most of us are not going to have those extremes. I'm just talking about your everyday life and things that you interpret now that may feel disempowering, and what you might be able to do to those automatic thoughts and how they get triggered, to change that so that you have an overall better quality of life as you take your journey to your various goals and visions. Because, hopefully this should go without saying, but if you're waiting until all the hopes and visions are realized before you allow yourself to feel happy, to feel like you have a quality of life, well, you don't need to do it that way. There are ways to interpret your everyday situations just as they are and have a quality of life. And these are the types of things that we talk about, this fundamental autopilot wiring that we do and how we can change it and make it more beneficial for us, more empowering. at these trainings. This is the work I do with people, is to say, hey, this autopilot thing that happens, it's just wiring, it's just programming. There are ways to change that if it's not working for you. And even if you have a lot of your goals, outer goals accomplished, like you can check them off and go, hey, look, everybody, look what I did, but you don't have that quality of life if you're not loving it. It's a wiring issue, and we can help you with that. So anytime you'd like, you can pop onto one of these free trainings. Just go to this URL here, pick the date and time that works for you, and we'll hopefully shed some light on just really some of the basic stuff about how your brain works, even though you probably would tell me, oh, I know all that already. Yeah, okay, that knowing it is the first step. Now doing something with that knowledge is the second step. So hopefully after this training, you will have a set of tools that you will, in fact, start to use to retrain the brain, retrain that autopilot wiring in a way that's more empowering for you. Okay, well, I hope to see you on one of those trainings soon. Have a wonderful